So the India Supreme Court, which the servile newspapers published in English language in India most often refer to as the apex court. We call it the supine court because the Supreme Court is absolutely toothless and totally an instrument, a tool, a stooge institution serving the purpose of the Hindutva criminals fronted by Narendra Modi. But it has staged a belated kind of pretense to be alive by overturning the conviction for defamation against Rahul Nehru. Rahul Nehru is styled as Rahul Gandhi, but Gandhi is not the right part of the name. Indira Gandhi, who is Rahul Nehru's grandmother, had married a Parsi, that is a faith that involves fire worship, a Parsi called Feroz Gandhi. And that is the name Gandhi, comes from Feroz Gandhi. Nothing to do with the Gujarat born M K Gandhi, Mohanlal Karamchand Gandhi. But by conspiring to suppress that part of the reality of the history and adding Gandhi after Indira's name, the Nehru family, the Nehru dynasty, who is ashamed of the Nehru name, actually misled the world and misled India. And those who should know better went along with the complete pretense. So it's not Rahul Gandhi, it's Rahul Nehru. If anything, it's Nehru. But actually, it should be something else, not even Nehru, not even Gandhi. Anyway, the Supreme Court, so called, which we call the supine court, has staged a pretense and has overturned the conviction for defaming Narendra Modi. And the Times item, byline to somebody, obviously an Indian based in Delhi, Amrit Dhillon, the first paragraph contains a novelty because we haven't seen that word used about Rahul Nehru. We have used many words about him, but not this one. It says Rahul Gandhi, the dynastic princeling, little prince, tiny prince, whose family has shaped modern India. Now, that is a complete lot of rubbish. Is set to return to the front line of politics after his conviction for defaming Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister, was overturned. Come what may, my duty remains the same: protect the idea of India. Nehru, 53, the leader of the opposition Congress party, said yesterday after his controversial conviction was overturned by India's top court. The Indian papers call it top apex court. 4 years ago, on the campaign trail, Rahul asked an election rally, why do all these thieves have Modi as their surname? Nirav Modi, Lalit Modi, Narendra Modi. Nirav Modi is a fugitive diamond tycoon, and Lalit Modi, a former chief of the Indian Premier League, who received a life ban from the Indian Cricket Board. The two men are not related to the Prime Minister. Nehru's remarks led to him being brought before the courts. in Gujarat, Modi's home state, where he was sentenced to 2 years in prison in March, effectively ending his political career while a general election due next year. While the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party (BJP) said his fate was a legal matter, critics said the move was the culmination of a long campaign by Modi to stifle opposition voices. The case was filed by a BJP leader in Gujarat for defaming the Modi community. Priyanka Gandhi Vara. Now, reading that again. Priyanka Vadra, Gandhi's sister, and a senior Congress party figure said at the time, the entire machinery of the rattled regime is trying to suppress the voice of Rahul by any and all means. The court gave Nehru the maximum sentence under the British colonial era defamation law, as well as a 15,000 rupee, that is 148 pound fine. It meant that the son of the assassinated Indian Prime Minister Rajiv was instantly disqualified as an MP. Soon after, BJP leaders rejoiced with Rajnath Singh, the defense minister, warning that Nehru should learn that words are deadlier than weapons. Yesterday, however, India's Supreme Court ruled that while Nehru's comments were in bad taste, he should not have received the maximum jail term possible. Nehru, who has long claimed that Indian democracy is under attack from Modi's party, has claimed his phone had been hacked and he was under surveillance. Members of Nehru's party are concerned, meanwhile, that the BJP will attempt to block his reinstatement as a member of parliament. We fear the government may create hurdles and have urged the speaker not to delay the revocation of Rahul's disqualification, said Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, a Congress MP and party leader in the lower house of parliament. The conviction and sentencing raised the eyebrows given that almost half of the 539 members of parliament have criminal charges pending against them, many more serious than defamation. Chaudhary said he would write to the Speaker seeking Rahul Nehru's reinstatement. Rahul has got relief from the false allegations that were made against him, Chaudhary told reporters. This is the victory of truth. It will cost Modi heavily. Since Modi took power in 2014, he has set about modernizing India and turning it into the world's third largest economy, drawing up a 25-year plan for it to become a developed nation. Now, that is a load of rubbish. However, his rule has been associated with the rise in Hindu nationalism. Among his controversial steps as Prime Minister have been scrapping autonomy in Muslim majority Kashmir, introducing a restrictive citizenship law, and cracking down on the resulting protests, and rising pressure on leading businessmen to assert control over the formerly critical private media, which is now mostly supportive of Narendra Modi. The institutional framework which is required for a democracy, parliament, a free press, the judiciary, these are all getting constrained, Rahul Nehru said in April. BJP supporters say that Modi is merely promoting the values of the majority of Indian citizens and asserting Indian identity. Now, that is a Hindutva slogan by fascists and liars. As we said yesterday in the last one, part A, only few hours ago, Rahul is not. fit for purpose. Rahul is, quite apart from the fact that he got this wrong sentence and conviction about calling all the Modis thieves, because all the Modis are thieves, the ones that have been mentioned by him. Despite all of that and the sympathy that he deserves for that one, Rahul Nehru has shown that he doesn't have the intellect, he doesn't have the vision, and he doesn't have the actual care or commitment, nor does his sister Priyanka Vadra and their mother Sonia, the Italian born Sonia, who married Rajiv Nehru, while they were at college in the United Kingdom. Was it Cambridge? So Sonia is trying to kind of create the image of the peacemaker. She's not really engaged in battle to get rid of the Hindutva regime at all. And she cannot do that anyway. Quite apart from the fact that she doesn't have enough conviction in terms of religious faith, the majority of the legacies that Jawaharlal Nehru left behind, which is the political capital on which Indira Nehru made her own career, the majority of the legacies that Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru left behind, that Pandit word is a Kashmiri word anyway. It means scholar, but that doesn't mean necessarily that Jawaharlal Nehru was a scholar. Although the British imperialists praised him to the skies, as I said, I mean, the last British kind of regime leader, Mountbatten, allowed his wife to sleep with Jawaharlal Nehru, just as Winston Churchill asked his son's wife, Pamela, to sleep with influential Americans in order to get information from them and also to mollify the then American president so that they would put forward American forces in support of Churchill's efforts in the war against the Nazi Germany. So, this overturning of Rahul Nehru's defamation conviction and sentencing may be in the news, but it will not be kind of weaponized politically in the way that it could be and should be done, because Rahul Nehru is not the political fighter that he should be. And India needs the leader of the opposition party to be a political fighter. But there is no sign of political fight in anything that Nehru is capable of putting forward. There is another Supreme Court in the news. This is based on the indicted Donald Trump in the USA, who, after rejecting the indictment and the charges against him, is now expressing the hope that the Supreme Court will be the main place which will give him relief. Now, given Trump's tendency and propensity to contradict himself within within seconds if the role of the target that he contradicts himself about turns against him. So, if the Supreme Court in any way shows any rigor that he should do, then Trump will condemn the Supreme Court as being part of the plot against him. So, that's the thing that can be said about Trump and the Supreme Court. Only because Trump says that the Supreme Court must decide his fate doesn't mean that he will accept the Supreme Court decision. This is the heading that I have just read on the Times, page 41, in a piece by Alistair Doba, filing from Washington. Donald Trump has demanded that the US Supreme Court intercede in his criminal cases, claiming the charges he faces amount to election interference. The former president, 77, appeared in a federal court in Washington, D.C. on Thursday, where he pleaded not guilty to 4 charges linked to what prosecutors say was his attempt to overturn the result of the 2020 presidential election. That case relates to pressure allegedly exerted on state officials and Mike Pence, who was then vice president. It follows the indictment in 2 other cases, one relating to the hoarding of classified documents and another over payments to an adult film star, which is the story of this woman, Stormy Daniels, of course. And Stormy Daniels, before anybody else, testified against him and made several public comments about Trump and ridiculed his physical attributes as if to confirm that she did have first-hand sight of Donald Trump's assets, reduced and insignificant though they were. Well, in a survey that the Times is running, results of the question, would you vote? That is, this question is put to the Republicans in the USA. Would you vote for Trump if he were convicted? 35% said they would vote for him, and 45% said they would not vote for him. Now, Jack Smith, the special counsel in the federal case against Trump, is pushing for a speedy trial in the election interference case. But Trump's lawyers say that a trial before the presidential election in November 2024 is unrealistic. Quote, the Justice Department is supposed to operate independently of the president's wishes, particularly with regard to criminal justice matters, said Barman. So that's the norm. But it's clear from Trump's first presidency and from his public statements that he would not obey that norm of behavior. If re-elected, he would almost certainly try to place an extreme loyalist as Attorney General and instructed the Attorney General to drop the case. Trump remains far in front of his rivals for the Republican nomination. In the latest poll, he was 34 points ahead, points clear of the second placed candidate, the Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. So Trump is at 47, Ron DeSantis at 13, Mike Pence is at 8, Vivek Ramaswamy, an Indian, at 7, Nikki Haley 5%, and Tim Scott at 2%. Now, despite all the promotions and propaganda and hype around Nikki Haley, she is at 5% at this point. So, what was the hype about when they hyped her up from the beginning as the most credible and most, well, they are saying it, they are suggesting, most seductive of the candidates? Now, what has got to do with the fitness for office is another matter. Now, let's go back to looking at what's happening in the United Kingdom. So there is a coronavirus warning again. UK almost flying blind on COVID this autumn, experts say. And 19 minutes ago, Imran Khan has been sentenced to 3 years in jail. Now, what is the detail on that one? Khan arrested after court sentence, says former cricket star, for illegally selling state gifts. Imran Khan leaving Pakistan Supreme Court in Islamabad in July, and the former Prime Minister has been sentenced to 3 years in prison for illegally selling state gifts. More details soon. So that is a breaking story, and that is breaking story at 08:13 GMT, only about 15 minutes ago. So this is a moving story, let's say. So we shall be covering in due course the updates on that one. Nawaz Sharif's younger brother, who is the incumbent as prime minister in Pakistan now after the dictatorial removal of Imran Khan from office, Shehbaz Sharif, according to this report, has given the military and the security services more power. And this is the Pakistan government is facing a backlash from the MPs and senators after introducing an amendment to a colonial era Secrets Act that critics have said will grant draconian powers to its military intelligence agency to detain and arrest citizens with impunity, which is what is happening in Britain in some way. The amendment was quietly added in a parliamentary session and passed without providing copies to MPs, creating concern among parliamentarians on both sides of the aisle. It is now before a standing committee before it is presented to the Senate to formally become law or be rejected. The amendment empowers the Inter-Service Intelligence ISI and the Intelligence Bureau agencies to at any time enter and search any person or place without warrant. and if necessary by use of force, for anyone suspected of breaching the Official Secrets Act, such as leaking the name of an agency official. It also defines an enemy broadly as any person directly or indirectly, intentionally or unintentionally working for engaged with foreign power, foreign agent, non state actor, organization, or a group guilty of a particular act tending to show a purpose that is prejudicial to the safety and interest of Pakistan. Activists and politicians and lawyers said the bill would further trample democracy and human rights in Pakistan. Salahuddin Ahmad, a lawyer, said it's a draconian law that will give impunity to Pakistan's feared intelligence agencies and formalize and enhance their already oversized influence over all Pakistan's affairs. In the interior minister who had signed the introduction, I'll read that again. The interior minister who had signed and introduced the amendment did not respond to a request for comment. Obviously, because what can they say? I literally cannot say Imran Khan's name on Pakistan's television. This madness has to end. It's Hamid Mir. Hamid Mir is a commentator who was critical and still remains critical of many things that Imran Khan politically represents. But even when he wants to criticize Imran Khan, the current situation in the country is such that he is not allowed to name Imran Khan, even when he wants to criticize Imran Khan. Now, this item on the 21st of June 2023 reads: whoever wins the confrontation between the former Prime Minister Imran Khan and the army, both sides are to blame for trying to gag criticism, says Hamid Mir, who is described as a Pakistani television news anchor and author. I'm not a big fan of Imran Khan. I have long criticized Pakistan's former Prime Minister, but now it is becoming difficult to do so. There is a de facto ban on referring to him in the media, meaning we are no longer allowed to mention his name or show his picture. Pakistani television channels are not allowed to introduce, I'll read that again. Pakistani television channels are not allowed to interview him or air his statements. This is the result of a series of directives issued by the media regulator in Pakistan. As Prime Minister, Imran Khan tried to turn Pakistan from a struggling democracy into an autocracy. His successor, Shahbaz Sharif, appears to be following in his footsteps. Once upon a time, I was one of Khan's favorite television when I was banned from broadcasting my talk shows in 2007 by the Musharraf regime. Khan stood by me. He used to participate in my roadside shows and aggressively criticize the anti media policies of a military dictator. When I survived an assassination attempt in 2014, Khan told the media, Hamid Mir is my favorite television anchor. Then in 2018, he became Prime Minister. The next year, an interview I had conducted with former President Asif Ali Zardari was pulled from the air. The media regulator under Khan's watch also banned former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's speeches from being aired on Pakistani media. I criticized him when his government allowed the trial of civilians in military courts under the Pakistan Army Act. In 2021, a blanket ban was imposed on me again in electronic and print media after I gave a speech against the attacks on our colleagues. There was no written order against me from any court or from the media regulator. But I remained banned in Pakistan from May 2021 to 2022. I blame the military establishment for that ban. Khan remained silent on my disappearance from the media. Now Imran Khan is out of the government. I'm back on the television screens. And Khan is missing from the media. I want to speak about his mistakes, but I cannot do so without mentioning his name and using video clips. Owners of some prominent television channels and newspapers were reportedly told by the military authorities recently that enough is enough. Khan has been declared an irresponsible politician and an enemy of the army after the 9th of May riots that followed his arrest earlier this year. They don't want to see his name or picture in the media. They don't want to see any dissenting voices in the media criticizing the military courts. The National Assembly of Pakistan passed a resolution on the 12th of June demanding speedy action against 9th of May rioters under the Army Act. Shehbaz Sharif had already declared Khan to be the mastermind behind the violence. Khan says he has no doubt that he will be tried in a military court and jailed. His problem is that he overestimated his popularity, blindly confronting the most powerful institution in the country. He failed to organize peaceful rallies. His violent supporters actually undermined their leader on the 9th of May. The attitude of an angry, fast bowler was good on the cricket ground, but the same attitude in the field of politics pushed him towards a disaster. It is Khan versus the army, and it's clearly the latter that is winning. Imran Khan may be arrested again soon. The regime wants to remove him from electoral politics, but cannot read his name from Pakistan's discourse, as if he never existed. I think they are not fighting against Khan. They're actually fighting against the very idea of a democratic Pakistan. It's time for all Pakistani rulers to quit their censorship habit. So that is the most of the piece that I've read out. Only about one paragraph or two I have not read out. Now let's go back to his key criticism about Imran Khan. That Imran Khan is not fit for political office or discourse or field. Now, in the rallies that Imran Khan organized during the months after he was ousted in 2022, Imran Khan actually appeared to be getting the support of people in large numbers. But Hamid Mir is saying that he is not leading peaceful rallies or peaceful supporters. And he is particularly mentioning Imran Khan's supporters for violence on the 9th of May. Now, as I said before, not in relation to what Hamid Mir has been saying, I said generally by observing Imran Khan that Imran Khan needs to get a few things sorted. And it is quite clear that I was not far off the radar. We shall be talking more about Imran Khan as the further details of his being sentenced to 3 years imprisonment are discussed and reported by the West. Now, this is 08:44 hours GMT, which is 34 minutes, just over 35, 34 minutes, just under 34 minutes. Now it is 35 minutes. We shall end this particular edition here, and we shall cover the other topics for our updates in due course in later editions.